Hey guys, welcome back to another analysis video here on the channel. If you enjoy the video, please subscribe to the channel and give me a thumbs up. You don't know how much I appreciate you subscribing. We're trying to get to 1,000 members, and at that point YouTube opens up some very interesting options for us. So please, if you're not subscribed, it's completely free. Just hit the subscribe button and you're helping the channel grow. So today on the agenda, I'm bringing you a game between Grandmaster Denis Kadric from Montenegro. He's rated 2551, a very strong Grandmaster, and from what I've seen on the internet, also quite a famous singer, which I didn't know. Although many chess players, many elite chess players, are well known for their proficiency in other artistic forms such as music or singing or playing some instrument. With the black pieces, we have a young Montenegro player called Dimitrij Vujovic. He's 2047, but he was born in 2008, so he's actually quite young. And okay, all the best to him. He's still in his learning stage. This is the first round of the 77th Montenegro Championship 2025, played in Podgorica, which I think is the capital of Montenegro. Okay, so what we're going to see in this game is a Sicilian Poulsen variation, and I would like you all to pay attention to the way Kadric builds up the attack on the king side and finishes it off with some very nice and entertaining sacrificing play. So let's go with the game. Kadric played e4, c5, knight f3, e6, d4, pawn takes pawn, knight takes pawn, a6. The very solid and quite easy to play Poulsen or Khan Sicilian defense. Probably one of the better Sicilians. I've played it myself occasionally, although more or less at the beginning of my career. Then I dropped it, probably without a valid reason. I lost a couple of games and you sort of lose faith in the defense, but it is a good defense. Now, there are two ways to play this with white. The most normal is just to develop with knight c3, and the other way to play is to try and play for c4 to try and construct a Maroczy bind. Now, those players who like to play c4, such as myself, we normally play bishop to d3 first, and then afterwards go for c4. So Kadric played knight to c3, queen to c7, just controlling the e5 square, bishop to d3, preparing to castle, very straightforward. And now there are several moves here for black. Knight to f6 has been played, bishop to b4, pinning the knight is also quite good, b5 is also quite good, several interesting moves. Vujovic, no doubt following some chessable course, went for knight to c6, which is okay, but I'm not really a fan of this move. Of course, the idea is to attack the knight on d4 and win a tempo. So white exchanges. Now, years ago, they were telling us don't exchange on c6 in the Sicilian because you allow black to fortify his center, capturing with the b pawn, which is true. However, theory has evolved, and it's been found that the computer actually approves this move. Moreover, it shows that the tempi you win by exchanging instead of going back or defending can be useful to prepare an attack. So this is the idea of Kadric. Queen to e2, e5, castle, knight f6, f4, initiating the attack, d6, king h1. This is a good move. It's a semi-waiting move to see how black develops, but also you take away the king from the diagonal because you don't want to get hit by queen to b6 at an unfortunate moment. So it's a good semi-waiting move. Bishop to e7. This is a very interesting position. I'd like you to think for 30 seconds here, pause the video if you want, and decide if you would prefer to play f5, pushing for the attack, or pawn takes pawn, opening up the f file. So just think for a few seconds, and you can leave your comments down below if you want. Just tell me, I prefer f5 or I prefer pawn takes pawn, and give me your reasoning. But you have to do it now, because if you do it afterwards, then you know the results of the game. I do this a lot with my students. I put different positions and ask them to think of a move and then give me their reasoning. That allows me to understand how they're thinking, and hopefully gives me ideas of how they can improve. So although f5 could be a move, especially if black is castled, and then we could just try and push forward with our pawns. In this position, black still hasn't castled, and also black can hit back with d5. If you attack on the side of the board, black can play a counter in the center with strong play. So the best move is to exchange pawns, hope you all saw that, and improve the bishop from dt3 to c4. Now, there's a very simple plan for white, which is to develop the bishop and at some point double rooks on the f-file. Black is still okay, however. Castle, bishop to e3, and at this point I think black made a mistake. He played bishop to b7. Now I do have the feeling that the bishop is not very well placed on the b7 square. He should have played either a5 with the idea to play bishop to a6, which I think is better, trying to exchange this bishop at some point somehow, although it's not easy to get the bishop here because white does have two pieces protecting. Or even better, bishop to g4, hitting the queen. When the queen moves, drop back to h5 and then drop back to g6, again hitting the pawn on e4 and giving extra protection for the black king. Of course, this is easy to see when you've lost the game. But in the middle of the game, I'm sure Dmitry with black thought that the bishop was better on b7, maybe because he'd seen some games where the bishop was developed there. Of course, his idea is at some point to play c5 and attack the pawn on e4. Now, white quickly plays rook to f3, preparing to double the rooks, maybe swing over the rook to h6. Again, maybe a5, maybe even c5. Black must react. Instead, he played h6. I'm not a fan of this type of moves unless you're absolutely forced to play it. You just weaken your king, and that's going to be a problem afterwards. I don't see why he was forced to play this move here, so I think it's a small mistake. Rook f1, and now it's absolutely essential to bring the queen to d6 and try and protect the king a bit. Instead, Vujovic played king to h8, and this allows for a very nice sacrifice. We start off with rook takes f6, and we follow up with rook takes f6. And now I just want to see how many of you would play with the two bishops and the weakened king, or how many of you would play with the two rooks. Now this is a classical example of a big material advantage for black, two rooks against two bishops. However, the rooks are not playing, the bishops are active, and more importantly, the black king has no serious defense, and white goes in for the kill. Queen to h5. There isn't really a way to defend here. The computer suggests to play rook at fd8 and start sacrificing material, and even sacrifice the queen and try and hold this position, but this is completely lost. I mean, it's a queen for a rook and a piece. This is completely lost. But this is the best line according to the computer. No human goes for this. Humans don't want to sacrifice the queen for a piece and want to try and see if they can defend somewhere else. And Vujovic played king to h7. A bad move, but in any case, the threat was take, and now this is the key move, which black can't stop because of the bishop on c4. You have to remember these checks, like g6. When you're sacrificing material, this is the kind of check that will allow you to bring in the rest of your pieces to kill the opponent's king. Check, check, and now there are several ways to win, but this is the cleanest way. We've threatened queen to g6 and bishop to f6. Checkmate. There's no way for black to hold on, and so he resigned. and Kadric scored a very nice win in the first game, a miniature game which finished under the 25 move mark. And I think we've seen quite a clean operation where white has opened up the f-file, brought pieces to the king side, and when black didn't defend properly, he crushed him with the double rook sacrifice. I hope you enjoyed the video. I for sure enjoyed this one when I saw the game. I did think that my followers would appreciate this way of learning a bit more about the Sicilian Khan variation, and also getting to know grandmaster and singer Denis Kadric from Montenegro. If you enjoyed, leave a comment below, subscribe to the channel, leave a thumbs up, and we'll see you all in the next video. Meanwhile, keep improving, keep learning, and keep having fun.